Galactic Season 2 is so hot right now, so we'll review and talk tips and tricks. That and more on this episode of the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic from newoverlords.com. Our broadcast hashtag today is EPC 418. And playing alongside me is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
Max, it's going pretty well. I mean, the ice in my driveway is all melted, and we almost got to 60 degrees today. So, probably time for 1 or 2 more snowfalls before spring.
Getting close.
Getting close, yeah. But in SWTOR, I've been leveling. I don't know about you, but I have a bunch of characters, so I've been very unfocused on leveling now that I leveled my Merc. So I have a bunch of characters that are at 76, 77, and 78. I'm not exactly sure what my methodology is there, but I've been doing that. I've been doing Conquest, because that kind of still fits in with how I'm doing things. Been doing some, and as a result of those 2 things, I've been getting quite a bit of Galactic Seasons done. We're going to talk about Galactic Seasons. I got gear on my Merc, and I've upgraded it. I'm in the process of upgrading it to, I guess I'm going to take it to 326 if I do the Conquest gear.
Yep.
Okay. But I've been spending I get extra tokens, like too many tokens, the tokens of commendation. So far I've been using them 2 ways. One is to buy 320 sets for all my alts, which I haven't done it for all my alts yet, but take an alt down there. The lowest level I've tried doing it with is level 75, but for all I know, you can do it at any level and just spend a couple hundred tokens getting their gear. But lately, I just went down with my Merc and bought enough blaster pistols to just spend all my tokens. So I spent my tokens all the way down to 66, so now I don't have to worry about it for a couple days. And as a side note, you gave me this idea. I've been running a bunch of diplomacy missions, trying to get one character to Dark 5 because for whatever reason I don't have that achievement. So I'm doing weird. That.
Maybe you deleted I don't know.
I wonder. And probably if I was really concerned about it, I could probably do a ticket and they could probably just fix it for me. But in the meantime, I'm just doing this. And what I found out is, this isn't new knowledge or anything, but so I was going from Light 5 to Dark 5 using diplomacy. And I thought this was going to take forever. But each level is fewer points. So as I was going down, like you can showing on the screen right now, see where it says 5? As I was going down the left side, the blue side, it speeds up as it goes towards the bottom.
Huh.
Because each level is fewer and fewer points as you go 5 down to 1. So probably
right, okay.
Yeah. So then when I start going up, the red side is going to continue to be fast and then slow down and slow down and slow down as I get closer to the top. So, but I'm like halfway there now. And I've only been doing it for a week or so. And I've really only been doing it as I think of it. So that was a good idea, diplomacy. I thought it would take forever because it's just a few points for each mission, but it doesn't. It's quick.
It's quick. Yep.
Yeah. So when I do that, another reason I haven't been too concerned about it is because I'm happy with the spell effects on my sages. I know everybody wants to get the lightning, but I like my sages. So I haven't been feeling a lot of pressure to switch anybody to lightning.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So I feel like that means I've been sort of doing a little bit of everything. And then tonight, in our ops team, we went and did 4 world bosses, which garnered us a little handful of aquatic resource matrices. And then we went and did a quick run of Eternity Vault, which is always fun. And I don't know what we're going to do next week.
Yeah, we got to
Maybe.
still continue to get people into some, 322, 324 gear, get some augments, make sure everybody's got their accuracy capped, and then we'll start doing bet modes in a
I would
significant way.
say we might have a conversation as a group about the augments, whether we really want to augment this early gear or not. I don't know.
I think we can have that conversation, and I would say we should augment our 326 pieces,
Okay.
and probably
Okay.
not before. I mean, you could probably skip it before then, unless you need 1.4 alacrity and accuracy cap.
Mm.
In which case you're not going to lose the augment, so you're just wasting a kit here and there. Maybe someone who's industrious like myself could make some extra kits that we could spread
Well,
around.
we have a bunch of extra kits in the
Well,
guild
there
bank
we
too.
go. That's what people should probably take out and use, especially to hit those 2 thresholds, and then not worry about the rest of this stuff until you get up to the 326 pieces, and then we're going to hold on to a lot of those 326 pieces for quite a while.
So yeah, you're reminding me. That's another thing I'm working on upgrading is my implants. So yeah, it's been a fun and busy week. Oh, and I didn't mention MFN, which I usually do, and that is we did go out and about on Tuesday night with MFN, and BC led us around the galaxy where we did world bosses and we did some killing of some mobs that deserved it.
Yep.
So yeah, how was your week?
Pretty good. I've been focused a lot on, as everyone seems to be right now, on managing currency caps,
Mm-hmm.
metals of commendation. I was even getting close on some of the other, tech fragment caps. I am completely upgraded on my mercenary legendary implants. So I will either move on to the tanking ones, but I don't tank all that often. So what I might do next is get the implants for my Sork. I have been playing my Sork a little bit more lately. I switched it even to Madness this week and rebuilt my Madness spec because I was all Lightning for a little while. Not that long, only for for about 6 months now, and had been Madness for years. Switched over to Lightning because it was outperforming. Madness is now moved back up or even outperforming Lightning a little bit. And in PvP, I much prefer Madness anyway. In that, I may go ahead and get the legendary implants because I like to use the Sork better for PvP. And although I do not like PvP right now, I'm doing some rounds of PvP for completing things like the Galactic season objectives, which I did this week. If I'm going to go after PvP gear, I'm going to do it all with GSF. It's much more rewarding, much easier to complete the weeklies, much more fun, just fun to play. I don't find PvP to be in a that fun of a state for me right now. It's a little bit imbalanced, and losses. I played 8 games in the last 3 days, eight matches, because that completed the Galactic season objective, and it was 7 losses. And it's not like, it was just random. I mean, it was even, split, Imperial versus Imperial for half of the game. It's, you flip a coin, but if you're only flipping the coin 8 times, you can have a bad run like that, and it does not feel good at all. So I did not complete any dailies or any weeklies this whole week, even though I played 8 matches. And that didn't feel good at all. So I got nothing. I got, I got the PvP stem, a couple boxes of PvP stems. So that feels bad. I think they should go back to, wins count as 2 on PvP on unranked. Go to wins count as 2. That's fine. And give people an opportunity to get some kind of reward for putting up with a bad luck run of, even if everything is perfectly balanced, a 50-50 split, you're going to lose at least half. Don't make it, if you only have time to run a handful and they're all losses, you've just blown a whole week. That kind of sucks. So that's that, but that wasn't supposed to be a PvP rant.
Well, I guess the other side of that is when they don't make it a win, then it incents the behavior of people going and just hanging out
And throwing matches potentially, but that's been handled in GSF, and people get kicked out of the match if they do that, and it's not really a problem. I mean, you see it once in a while, and people call it out, but it's not that big a deal. and it's not ranked. I mean, there's ranked PvP for the people that are serious.
So I
So
guess I mean, to sort of add on to what you're saying, I guess I don't understand why it's different in GSF versus PvP, regular PvP.
I don't know either. The reason, though, I've been doing GSF and PvP, GSF in particular, if you look at my gear here, almost all of it, I was just sort of rolling through, and at least 2/3 or even 3/4 is all PvP pieces because they're easier to get, they're easier to upgrade. The kind of currency that you get, it's easier to balance. You don't need, 100 Decurion isotope stabilizers to upgrade a piece of flashpoint gear. I don't have to run, 50 flashpoints to upgrade a couple pieces of gear. I can, you're using a couple quadratic resource matrix and a bunch of the Therian prediction accelerants, and it's much easier to get those if you're running a bunch of GSF. And so I've got 2 326 blasters, a 326 relic, a 326 gloves, and then 322 to 324 for a bunch of other pieces here. And 2/3 of it are all PvP. I'm going to continue to do that. I do need to upgrade my Sork gear if I am going to continue to PvP with that.
Which relics are you using?
Serendipitous Assault and Focused Retribution. In fact, I switched
Me
out.
too.
I had a 324 PvP relic, but it was in fact, I still have it right here, the Devastating Vengeance. But I think we can go back to, and I meant to check the Theory Crafters to see if we're back to this being the superior mode. I believe it is.
I haven't checked the theory crafting, but I did watch my buffs and I watched my stats. And when it goes off, the stats do go up. This was in the world. I was doing heroics, I think.
So these will give you, the Focused Retribution gives you mastery, and the Serendipitous Assault gives you power, and both of them are proc. Proc to get 2.5k power, proc to get 2.8k mastery, as opposed to tertiary stats when it procs, which then are slightly less in value because then you're getting a crit in particular. Alacrity is completely useless as a proc because you're trying to get to certain thresholds to get your alacrity consistent. So crit would be like the Devastating Vengeance would potentially be useful, but then you're relying on that crit as a chance as opposed to just a straight mastery or power buff for that time period when it procs.
But I'm saying that they work. They're not.
Yeah, which is good to know.
They used to only work in the top in-game
Induction
content,
and not in any of the other ones because of the way bolster worked in that era. Correct, because your mastery and your power were capped. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I know BioWare has been doing some stuff because I see a bunch of things in the news. Let's talk about that.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
First up in the news, we did have a relatively lengthy post from Chris Schmidt, and it did follow up on one that we sort of glossed over from Keith. This is talking a little bit more about where they're at, what they've done, what they're trying to achieve. Chris tried to break some of that down, talking about what their featured content vision was in particular, why some of the flashpoints were not in rotation on a weekly basis, why some of the weekly heroics were not in rotation on a weekly basis, and he sort of differentiated and explained what this idea of in rotation and out of rotation is, because they've decided to tweak that a bit and take some things out of rotation. So in rotation would mean that it would be a piece of content like an operation. The 3 operations that are in rotation this week are the only ones that you can queue into because they're in rotation. So in rotation this week are Eternity Vault, Explosive Conflict, and Terror from Beyond. So what they said was, heroics, like the planetary heroics, like I'm going to do CZ-198, those were in rotation as well, which would mean some weeks you couldn't even get the weekly for CZ-198. They're going to take those out of rotation, which means you'll be able to do CZ-198 every week whenever you want. Right. To balance that a little bit, instead of being able to do the weekly on CZ-198 3 times, you'll only be able to do it 2, because now there's just going to be so many more to choose from. So that's one thing they're doing. And the other thing was they had the flashpoints that were level locked to 50 and above. They're for the group finder, they're going to open those up to all levels in the group finder at the level in which you encounter the flashpoint in the story, so that as you're going through the story, you can queue into those. They are still going to they're not abandoning this idea of the featured content, so that will still figure into where the bonus rewards for kinds of things are supposed to be. Does that sound good to you, Seema? Are you looking forward to, well, things like CZ198 being back out of rotation and available? I think you are.
Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed when I saw, because I had misunderstood how it was going to work. So I went to CZ, like when it didn't show up on the list, I'm like, oh, that's weird. Then I went to CZ198 and the weekly wasn't even on the terminal. I'm like, oh.
Right.
And it's not that I want to do CZ198 every day or even every week. It's that I like having Black Hole and CZ198 in my back pocket, because sometimes that's what I feel like doing. I might have a character that I'm leveling or that I'm trying to do conquest on, and I want to do the weekly for Black Hole. It's just something I periodically do.
And you've got it down good. And it's comfortable, and you can sit there with a cup of coffee and you can run through it. That's right. There's value in that. If there's extra bonuses to do something else, that's interesting too. In fact, we'll talk about a bunch of new stuff this week. But
right, and that's a choice I can make, too.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it.
And then what else? We had a little bit of follow up from Keith on
that,
and following up on a bunch of stuff. Yeah, more of a
yes. So he posted a kind of short post on the UI changes, because there's been a lot of commentary. Well, in every sort of medium, in the forums, people talking about it in game on the UI changes. And in his communication, he said that he understood there's a lot of commentary on it, and that he tried to lay down the sort of idea that it's groundwork that they had to do to keep the game current. So he didn't say, so we're committed to the feedback to make all the changes necessarily that people want, just saying that this is the work that we have to do. So, maybe get used to it.
This is kind of the way it came across. We don't need to get too much into it, and he may clarify more. We were debating this, actually, Seema and I, off the air before this started. Some of the things they know, and they agree, like they went and make some graphical updates. This one in particular, where the highlighted boxes in the inventory are kind of hard to look at, and depending on the way your vision works, it might even be very distracting. Might give you some weird effects on the screen. They're going to fix that. I think what he's alluding to is, hey, it's 10 years later. There is more. Everyone's got an upgraded PC from where you started the game at launch. No one's still running those PCs anymore. Well, probably not. We can do more interesting things. He didn't give any examples of those. I'm guessing what we're looking at right here in the character screen, for example, might be an example of that, where in addition to looking at your character, having the bigger view of your character that's animated with animations and all of your tunings and all of your armor, and seeing the outfit on your character and gear pieces coming in and off while you're equipping them, that might be something that they couldn't do at launch because they needed to account for 15-year-old PCs, but now everybody's got a little bit of upgrade. So maybe this is that kind of thing. So maybe they've been wanting to make more lively screens like this. He didn't really explain that in too much detail, though, so that's a little bit difficult to get what he's saying, besides we want to make some updates, so we're going to make them, so deal with it, I guess.
So I think there's two different areas that people are talking about when they use the term UI. And one is just what you talked about, like the look of it, the style of it, and what it does and all that stuff. And then there's over here, it's like, yeah, but how does it do that, and is it clear to see, and what font are you using? More of the like nitty-gritty level, like that screen, the deconstruct screen where you can't even read the text on it. So
Right.
like there's one complaint that says the UI just has like mistakes in it.
Right.
So I don't know what he's actually addressing. It's probably more the, like you were talking about, like the liveliness of the character screen.
Right.
And I was saying, the character screen now is so big, it takes up my whole screen.
Yeah.
But I mean, you pointed out you can go into the interface editor and make it smaller.
Right.
So that would help a little bit. I mean, that would make it, I'm going to play with that because I have a smallish monitor, I found out when I compare my monitor to other people. But, so I don't know how small I can make it and it will still be legible, but I'm going to play with that.
You've got 256 colors, and it's 800 by 600, 7-inch screen.
It's not that bad. But my monitor is a 20. It's a 21-inch monitor.
HP calculator. Is that? see what plays on an HP calculator.
You're so funny.
Also in the news, we got confirmation, and we were confused about this, and for some reason I'm still equipping it on the characters I'm leveling up, but the Victorious Pioneer's leveling gear does not give the extra 50% XP bonus after level 75.
Even though the bonuses themselves are still bright. They're not grayed out.
This is information I could have used a month ago when I was putting a whole bunch of I was outfitting the gear, and I changed out the mods like 2 different times because I wanted to optimize them and making sure I was passing it from character to character to character, blah, 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 blah. Finding all my sets and putting them in special places and doing all of this management for this that meant nothing. Nothing. I could have just worn Andoranian junkwear. And it would have been the same thing.
How industrious of you.
Yeah, well, I think Medulla even like rolled. He was like rolling amplifiers, even though amplifiers are going to go away, and augmenting it and everything, and so yeah. Oh well. But gear is we know the gear is changing, so. And we knew set bonuses were going to break for most things, and we guessed that they could, but they seem to be on. Again, I guess it's just a UI bug that they were not grayed out.
Yes. So speaking of gear, we did get a post from Jackie about the stats in purple versus blue gear, and what they're doing is they're going to make for instance, the Rakata gear clearly an upgrade over the Kalumi gear, instead of before it was hard to determine whether it was upgrade or not because some stats would be lower, but one stat would be a lot higher, and you'd look at that and go, well, does that one stat being higher and make it worth it to equip this gear? So they're making it clearer by showing you that there's going to be an increase in mastery and then an increase in one other stat, and there might be a stat that goes lower, but mastery will go higher.
Right.
And one other stat.
And they seem to be, for the most part, even the example that they give, they'll be equal to or higher in the tertiary. So like crit won't go down. If crit is 500, it'll be at least 500. And if the power is going up, the power will obviously go up. So then you'll have crit. But they're also going to take the tertiaries and bump them up. The basis here, the thing that everybody can think about, and this does come into play as you're trying to plan out your gear path, even if you're going to stop at 326, is there are differences between a green piece of 326, a blue piece, and a purple piece of 326. It's not a big difference. It's mostly the mix of the stats. I don't even think in some cases a stat budget is even different. And when we say stat budget, that means, say you have 1,000 points, so you're going to put 500 in power and 500 in crit. Or say 500 in endurance and 500 in power. On a better piece for a DPS, you might only put 400 in endurance and 600 in power. The stat budget is potentially exactly the same between those two, but because DPS don't really need as much endurance and they want more power and damage dealing ability, that would be a better piece. So those differences will exist. You will be getting a better mix, a more tuned mix for your role in the blue and purple pieces. The stat budgets even may be slightly higher, but that's not as much of the deal. This does come into play because if you take a Noble Decurion piece, which you can get just by doing Conquest every week, and you upgrade it to 326, it's a 326 green piece, and that's as high as it goes. That's what you get. It's still 326, and you can upgrade it to 326, but it stops there. So if you want a 326 blue or purple piece, you need to find other paths to do that on. So a Kalomi piece, which you can get from Vet Mode Operations, will go to 326 at a blue, and a Rakata piece, which comes from Master Mode Operations, will go to 326 and even 330 at a purple level. So, little bit of difference there. They're going to make it more clear that yes, blue is definitely better than green and purple is definitely better than blue, even when they're the exact same gear score. Nice to hear Bryant Wood chime in on that thread as well. Always fun to hear additional devs from BioWare, I think.
Yeah.
And then finally, in the overall news, before we get to guild news, 7.0.1 is the next interim update. It is confirmed for next week. At the time if you hear this, it'll be the 22nd. So Tuesday, we should have it on Tuesday. There are some of the UI fixes going in. There's some other sort of like bug fixes and these rotation changes. That is there. The PTS is also continuing to be updated and is live. And along with talking about that, the new build that went on the PTS with tuning of those first 3 bosses in the R4 operation, we did hear in one of the threads, Jackie said, oh, and coming soon to the PTS, so for some definition of soon, we're probably going to see the outfit designer weapons in the outfit designer. Weapons and whatever. I'm not saying it clearly. Weapons and outfits.
Yes. Yeah. Outfitter weapon thing.
Which we don't have outfits and weapons and outfits right now. So that's why I have these little tiny, crappy little phasers instead of my big guns. So I'm chomping at the bit to get that. So there's that.
I know you're not alone in that.
Hey, we've got some big guild news for this weekend, don't we, Seema? Lay it on me, and I will look up the graphic for it while we're
okay.
Chatting.
So this coming weekend is our AIE WinterCon, and what WinterCon, we did it last year. That was the first year, and what it is for us is a chance for people to get together and play games together outside of our normal lineup of sort of basically video games and video MMOs. And we also may have we're also going to have some panel discussions. So it's sort of like a virtual con. But there'll be several D&D one-shots. There'll be some board games. There'll be some Jackbox games. There's going to be at least one panel, which is going to be basically So You Want a Podcast type of panel, a bunch of our podcasters within the guild. We have several podcasts within our guild, people talking about what you need to start out with podcasting. We're also going to have our general town hall meeting on Saturday afternoon, which is a meeting we do once a year anyway with all the membership across all of AIE. But it's just a really fun weekend, and we've had some people in the officer corps working hard to pull it together, and I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. It looks like there are currently openings in a couple of the D&D sessions, and one of the I know this will start to fill up, but this board game session, Forgotten Waters, is almost like an RP, almost like an RP D&D kind of board game. It's really fun. Pirates and ship, take your crew on the ship and sail the briny waters.
The brainy waters.
So sign up in these slots if you want to get in on it. If you've never done D&D before, there are a couple of these sessions. In fact, most of them that are designed for if you've never even done D&D and you just want to try it out. There will be pre-roll characters for you, and these guys, the people who are both the players, I mean, Seema's been in it for a while, and then the DMs are very adept at explaining everything as it goes, making it really fun for anybody who's jumping in. So it should be a great time. Definitely get in there and try it out.
Definitely beginners welcome.
And a fun time. This will be our second one. It was fun last year. We'll record it. We'll live stream a bunch of it too. So keep an eye on Twitter. I'll probably overshare on this a little bit in the next few days. But it's a cool thing. Hey, shout out to the chat room. Thank you all for continuing to join us, even though we took a week off there. People came back. I'm surprised. People are. Thank you. Thank you. We are still here. And
Thank you for trusting us.
thanks for trusting me. Shut up, Nadia. Where's my
Shut up, Max.
Shut up, Max.
Thanks for trusting me.
Yep. So that is cool. Really appreciate you all being in there, and we will talk to you all as we do a little bit more after the show, and in addition to the chats that we have before the show. So thanks. But now we're going to talk about the season.
Power will be yours if you are willing to burn.
We are a little bit through the season. In fact, I was just looking, and at least some people are halfway through the Galactic season. And in that, with everything that's gone on, we decided it was a great opportunity to take a pause, see how we feel about it, see how it seems like it's going, and maybe give out some of our tips and tricks for getting through the season in both a comfortable way or an optimal way. We'll break it down. I want to start with just some general thoughts, and before throwing you under the question bus, I'll do mine first this time, Seema. I see Galactic Seasons this time around, as I sort of did the first time around, but almost even a little bit more so this time, has been really a key driver of the activity that's going on in the game right now.
Yeah.
I really like 7.0's new content and some of the new systems, but in terms of what we're doing day to day, it's Conquest and the Galactic Seasons. And because they've sort of did a little bit of a revamp of some of the activities within Galactic Seasons, it's fresh and new, and there's different things every week and things in rotation, and it's generating a lot of activity for our guild and group content for us to do together, and things for us to go after solo, and something to puzzle out and think about each week, which is the basis
How
of a
does this
game.
work? Yeah, exactly.
You can make a game out of it if you could believe that. And that's what I've been doing. So I am halfway through. I am at level 50. By the end of the week, I'll be done with level 50. And that means I only have 50 more to go. So I'm halfway done, which has been fun. So yeah. So what's your perspective, Seema?
I'm really pleased with Galactic Seasons this time around. I think I shared some misgivings before it came out because I was saying I didn't know if the new focus on weekly activities would fit my playstyle, but it's fantastic for me. I am actually at level 43.
Yep.
So I'm almost to halfway, and we're on week 4 or 5, and we have
5. Yeah.
Nowhere near halfway
Many to go.
gone yet.
Yeah,
We have.
plenty
Yeah,
of
so there's
time.
gonna be plenty of room. And like for instance, this week, I don't have. Let me take a look. Some of the things that I do are not as well represented this week, but it really doesn't matter because I feel like I'm already sort of ahead of the game, and so I don't get as much Galactic Seasons credit this week as I did last week. Last week I ended up not only getting 7, which is the max that you can do, I was like 98% into another one, which wouldn't have counted for anything. But and then this week is going to be more like 4 or 5. But it's still gonna work out great for me. So I'm very happy with it, and I'm happy. Well, I think we're going to talk more about this, but I'm happy that there's like new little wrinkles on stuff to do.
Right. And we'll get into that, what some of the new things are that pop up from week to week and from time to time, and only once in a while, which I think is interesting. So to break it down, just to make sure you're thinking about it in the right way and everybody's sort of caught up, there's dailies and weeklies, and you get to do both dailies and weeklies each week. The daily has been really simplified, and I think I kind of like that. I don't mind that at all. The daily is down to do 25,000 personal conquest points across your legacy, and you get it done. The daily is sort of a no-brainer. If you kind of like log in and play for 15 minutes anywhere, practically, you're getting 25,000 points. You're only getting 2 season points for it, but that's 14 over the course of the week, which is even a little bit more than one of the weeklies. The bigger amounts of points that progress you through the season are the weekly activities, and you can do up to 7. There's usually 10 available, and you get to pick your favorite 7 and do those. That means you get to take 3 that you don't want to do. Maybe that's GSF or PvP, and you can yank them off the list and not have to worry about them. The one sort of tip trick that is important to remember if you're trying to optimize, if you're really trying to get done as quickly as possible, is it's not only about completing 7 per week, but completing the right 7, unfortunately. And the way you need to think about that is some of these weeklies award 8 points of progress, and some of them award 12 points of progress. So you can get 50% more on a particular weekly, and usually there's only 3 of the weeklies or 4 of the weeklies that are 12-point weeklies, but you're getting more. And these are the subscriber numbers. You're even getting slightly less if you're not a subscriber. I think you're getting 6 and 10. But if you're trying to get done as quickly as possible, or you're just doing a trade-off just to say, oh, I'm going to play a little bit this week and I want to, optimize my time to some degree, you're going to want to go after the 12-point weeklies. The 12-point weeklies, though, and this is the trade-off, the 12-point weeklies are typically more difficult or take a little bit longer or are more complicated content. So that's potentially something you need to be tracking. And maybe if you only have limited time and you're only going to complete 5 anyway, optimizing your time. And if you could get 6 of the 8-point ones done and only 5 of of a couple 8s and a 12, maybe it's better to get 6 of them done. So there's a little bit of like puzzling it out there, what's going to be most optimal for you. But don't miss out on that 8 versus 12. I've been pushing myself to try to complete the 12-point ones first. And in fact, last week I had to hold back and I almost finished an 8-point that would have blocked me out from getting a 12-point done in my 7 because I was like 6 of 7. So I had to stop doing Peace or Passion or whatever do 10 quests as a Jedi Knight or a Sith warrior because that was only an 8-point one, and I was almost done with the GSF medals, which was a 12-point objective. So I wanted to finish the GSF one, get that done, and then I didn't even need the Passion or Power, even though I was nearly done with that. So, have you been?
So,
yeah.
I mean, everything you say is true,
Mm-hmm.
but only
always
if you
and forever. That is the case.
But only if your goal is to finish at the first possible moment.
Yes, and this is like min-maxing, optimizing across the schedule, and I downplayed that a little bit, but I did want to make that clear. You only worry about this if you're trying to do any kind of optimization either within a week or over the course of any number of 10 weeks.
I mean, over my sort of many years of playing MMOs, I've sort of deprioritized doing activities that I don't want to do for the reward. Just for the reward. So yes, I don't do it. I do not prioritize the 12-point ones. I don't even look at that because it's already clear to me I'm going to get to rank 10 before I turn around. So,
right.
I mean, rank 100, not 10, but yeah.
We didn't do the math here, but even if you go pretty casual and only do, say, 4 out of 7 weeklies a week, and you only log in, 4 days for the daily here and there, and you sort of go at a much more comfortable pace, and maybe even it's down to 3 some week. There's still margin to get all of Galactic seasons done, all within that the entire range of the end up to the end date of Galactic seasons. We've got plenty of time, and you don't need to be optimizing in this way. And in fact, even though I'm doing this and I'm getting these 12-point ones done, that's a a little bit of a mental game for me. When I'm done with Galactic
Yeah.
Seasons, I may miss it and wish I had,
Right.
another couple weeks of objectives, because it's kind of fun to have objectives and reasons to log in. So maybe I shouldn't be doing it this way, and I should be taking it a little more easy so I can stretch it out a couple more weeks.
So, I mean, when you say that, like, it's a little bit of a mental game for me, it's completely a mental game for you because there are no rewards for getting it done early.
Right. There
There's
are no
no
rewards for
achievement.
getting it done early. Right.
There's no achievement. There's no title.
In fact, you could look at it, and the way I'm describing it is there's a penalty. If you
Yeah.
get it done early, you're done early, and you get, got no reason to log back in. Now, we'll probably continue throughout the entire season on our Tuesday night guild night, for example, doing Galactic season related activities because we've had such fun doing it. We'll probably do it all summer.
Yeah.
And I will still have fun doing it with everyone, but I won't be getting anything for it. And, oh well, that's fine. But it kind of feels really good right now to log in on a Tuesday night and be doing these random things and like making, just to getting that little dopamine hit from checking a checkbox.
Yeah, I do like that.
So
I know for sure I'm going to miss that. Like, I'm a little bit disappointed that I have so many reps already done. Because
right.
those are checkbox
Same
I
thing.
don't have anymore.
You can never go back and
Right.
get them done again.
Right. And like when I turn in rep with the new rep now, I turn in the teeniest amount possible.
Right. For the few reps you have remaining, right?
Right. Right.
The teeniest amount possible to achieve whatever you need to achieve, like your conquest goal or whatever, so that you're going to stretch out those last 2 reps for as long as possible.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. The 2 I have left, no, actually I have 3 left. The new one, which has no rewards yet. And I still have the space missions on rails one because
Yep.
I'm poking along on that one. And I think I still have some room with the Onderonian rep.
I still haven't turned in all of mine on the swoop ones. Oh, and Voss.
Voss, that's funny.
Ooh, I'm almost done with Voss. Been working on that one for 10 years. For whatever reason.
Speaking of Galactic Seasons, does anyone know who you have to kill on Nar Shaddaa for the Syndicate infighting? Because I have the costume, and I can click on the, I can make the rumors, and and you get credit for 4 kills every time you click on one of these terminals. But when I'm killing mobs, occasionally one will count, but most of them do not count.
So this is one of those, and why don't you describe it? This is one of those unique objectives that have been popping up within the Galactic Seasons as one of the weeklies you can do. And this was a new one that we got to do for the first time this week. And so we're still trying to figure it out a little bit. So somebody's going to have to tell us what we need to do. But yeah,
it's called Syndicate Infighting, and you have to defeat Syndicate members and plant incriminating rumors. And the first thing you have to do on one of the named planets is locate crates that have they have a disguise in them. So then you dress up like, in this case, it's like the Exchange, criminal gang. And then I think you go, oh, maybe I should go kill like Black Sun. Maybe that's what I should be doing because I'm dressed up like in an Exchange right now. I'll try that. But yes, so you can click on these terminals and you get 4. You have to, and you're trying to build up to 150. So you can kill 150 mobs, or you can click on, 35 terminals or whatever it works out to.
Yep.
I want to kill some mobs though. I'm going to kill some Black Sun mobs. That's what I'm going to try. Where are they?
So this one I thought was pretty
interesting. Oh no,
that's
on Coruscant. That won't work. Never mind. Okay.
I thought this one was pretty interesting because it was something they added new. It was never a daily or weekly before. It was never a conquest objective before. And they added these new terminals and disguises into the game. In fact, I found them in a previous week and we didn't really know what was going on, but I put one of these disguises on and I was jumping around going, hey, look at me, I'm in a disguise, blah, blah, blah. Little did I know that that was actually going to be useful for a thing. and besides me just jumping around, jumping in people's faces. But I thought that was cool, and it's within the theme of what the Syndicate's purpose is. If you were sort of if you've talked to the vendor on Nar Shaddaa, which you should have already because you're turning in those Syndicate plans, which you would be capped on if you hadn't talked to them already. They will sort of give you the backstory on what this Syndicate is, and there's sort of the shadow organization that works behind the scenes, and why does that matter, and what you should you to do to either support them, or what do you think that they should be doing to support the Empire or the Republic? Just a little bit there. This figures into that. This is their shadow organization behind the scenes, putting a little bit of havoc into what's going on these various planets between the various gangs and syndicates and hut cartels and things like that. So yeah, I thought that was cool. As a cool objective. Some of the other objectives that they added in here and brought in. What other of the favorites have you had, Seema? I've got a couple listed here, and I've got a couple of my favorites.
I liked the one that you mentioned where you had to do 10 quests on your warrior or guardian, a warrior or knight, and I particularly like that because I spent some time on my knight has always been a guardian, setting up a different secondary combat style, getting her bars all set up and running around the galaxy with her doing. I made her second combat style a sage so she could run around AoEing stuff, and I mean I just thought that was fun, and I did. It's surprising how fast 10 quests go by. I think I did some story and then some planetary heroics, but yeah, I like doing that one. And then I like ones like this one that's called Coreward World's Daily Sweep, where you do, 1 or 2 weeklies from an area, or the ones where you do like 10 quests and 100 kills. I like those.
On Tuesday, something that we have not had, but was a conquest objective a while back, which was, I think it was last week or the week before, there was one called High Profile Targets. And there's these champion mobs spread around a couple planets. And because we like to do stuff as a group together, with potentially up to 16 or 20 people, we were able to do that as a group with our guild on Tuesday night and go after one of these bigger mobs, these high profile targets. They weren't hard to kill. In fact, we had to be careful not to kill them too quick before everybody got there. But they respawn quickly, and multi-tag works and that kind of thing. I like those too as a key one. And the other version of that we have a lot of fun with is the one where you need to go kill champion guards or droids on planets. And usually this is at the opposite faction base is where you go and find those. So that I think it's been great to have that kind of group content added in.
Yeah, I totally agree.
I did this one. Did you do the Eternal Championship?
I did not know.
So 2 weeks ago, I think Eternal Championship was one of it might have been even a 12-point objective.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
It was hard. I died a couple times in it, mostly killing myself because there's a multiple parts of the 10 rounds. So you're doing the 10 rounds of fighting throughout the Eternal Championship. And within those 10 rounds, there's at least 2 places, if not more, where there's a reflect shield that goes up. And if you shoot whatever with the reflect shield. In fact, there's one that I knew about and I still killed myself on, and one that I didn't know about that I killed myself on. That's an easy way to die. And then the last fight of the Eternal Championship was just super hard. There's just like nowhere to stand, and a bunch of damage is going on. And I kept getting killed. My healer companion kept getting killed, but I did it. And
wow.
It was fun to go back in there, and it was fun to experience that content again, do something hard and get rewarded for it. So that was cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And then how about the Destructible Objects one? I think that's coming up next week again. Did you kill things with destructible objects?
I did. And yes, to me that one's brilliant because they're all over the place, and I just don't really always notice that. And I didn't really alter what I was doing to go look for them, but I was definitely noticing them and then using them.
Right. Right. Yeah. And it's kind of like a little weird side interesting thing that you wouldn't think of otherwise. Sure, throw it in, make it an objective. That's a great idea. They did a good one. And you're right with the peace or power. Go on a knight or a warrior and go do these things. These are good ideas. I like it. A couple of the tips and tricks that I wanted to call out. There are multiples of these objectives. Some of the basic ones, like, hey, go do some flashpoints, right? A lot of the ones, the flashpoint ones in particular, is a good one to keep track of how you go about getting that done. Because a lot of them talk about, hey, you can go and just do a bunch of flashpoints. You need to get 8 points. So here's an example. Legacies of Revan. It's a 12-point weekly objective. So it's one of the bigger ones. You need 8 points, 0 out of 8 complete flashpoints. You could do a solo story mode flashpoint and you would get 1 point. So you could go do Black Talon 8 times and you could get this done. But if you read where the bonuses are, you can get this done in 1 flashpoint. Because what this works is you can do a flashpoint, any flashpoint, and you get 1 point. So I say I want to do Master Mode boarding party. I think that's one of the ones this week. Yeah, boarding party. I want to do Master Mode boarding party. Well, if you're going to do Master Mode, you get 4 bonus points. And if you do the bonus boss inside, and those only show up in the Master Mode flashpoints, you get an additional 3 points. So you get 1 point for doing it, 4 points because it's a master, additional 4 because it's a master, and an additional 3 because you're doing the bonus boss. 1 shot, 1 Master Mode flashpoint, you can get all 8 points and get it done in 1. So look at where the bonuses are. Look at doing those kinds of bonus things in some of these to make sure, again, if you're just trying to optimize your time, because you don't want to go, you don't, I do. I've leveled up characters from 1 to 50 and only running Black Talon over and over and over again. During DVL, I did that. I had at least 1 character. But you probably don't want to run Black Talon 8 times to get this done. So I did this last week. I queued up Group Finder, got into Kadamimu, ran Kadamimu with a group. And at the beginning of the group, I said, hey, I'd really like to get the bonus boss done. Can we do that? Because that'll clear the Galactic Season objective. Everybody said, yeah, let's do it. We did it. We killed the extra mobs that we had to. In fact, we had to backtrack and go on that big elevator again to go back to where the bonus boss is. We got it. We killed the bonus boss, cleared it all, 1 shot, done, and got that checked off the list, which was fun. Can you think of any of the other bonus ones? Uprisings. Did you do the flash? I know you've run flashpoints so far, but you probably haven't run any uprisings. I haven't run any uprisings for Galactic.
No, I haven't.
Either.
Nope, I haven't run any uprisings. It just hasn't come up yet as someone said, hey, Seema, let's go run some uprisings.
What about Starship space missions?
But just to comment on that, it's like I have that I can do that in the future. I don't have to always do the same activities every week.
Right. Shake it up.
Because there's a wide variety. Yes, I did do the space mission ones.
The Aces of the Armada?
Yes.
Because you are an ace of the Armada. And actually you are. I mean, you know what you're doing with the space missions. Did you do the heroic space missions though?
I didn't, because it was a very low bar. I think you only had to do 2 or maybe 4.
4, yeah.
And then, but this week, and I don't think it was last week, but this week there's a conquest target for a space mission also. So you get conquest points for doing a space mission. You get progress on your Galactic Seasons thing. You get conquest points if you complete a bonus mission while you're in there and you haven't yet completed a bonus mission that day. And you get conquest points for the reputation gain if you haven't finished your space mission reputation, which I have not. So it was win-win.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Space, those old school space missions just have a lot of value in lots of different ways for running them. In fact, XP per minute score wise for leveling up characters, they're actually quite good as well. So don't sleep on those old school space missions, and go onto the fleet, and you spend, I think, for a bunch of credits, and then for fleet commendations you can get a bunch of the upgrades for your ship if you'd like to try the heroics. That can be hard, but they're arcade games, so if you just learn the pattern, you can get it done. They never change. There's not like random. It's arcade on rails. So if you learn the pattern, even of the really hard heroics, and you're using all of your abilities in the right way, you can get it done every time. It's hard, but you can do it. And then the only other one that I had listed here that was similar, but definitely better than the way it works for Conquest or for the weeklies, is for GSF and for PvP. All of them are complete X number and wins count as 2. Even for the PvP. So I finished PvP this week. Heading the front line, complete unranked Warzone matches. And you had to complete 8 and wins counted as 2. So I ended up doing 8 because I did not win any this week. Still, I got progress whether I won or lost, and wins counting as 2 is still incentive to win. I was trying to win every single time. This is the way it should work, and not that rant I had in the beginning about the weeklies for PvP not counting anything at all. All right, Syndicate Plans. So we've talked about Syndicate Plans before. This is a currency that you've probably been getting, and if you haven't been paying attention, then you might need to check it out again. But Syndicate Plans are a currency that's been dropping, and it's used in a couple different ways. Not a lot of ways. So don't worry if you've sort of been not paying too much attention to it. There's not that much use for it, actually. You do get them from doing lots of things. You'll get them from completing Galactic season objectives. You'll get it from completing flashpoints. You'll get it from completing operations and operations bosses. They drop all over the place. So you don't need, they'll even drop off of random trash mobs. You'll get like one here or there. Every week, there's one Galactic season objective for 8 points as a weekly that says collect 40 Underworld Syndicate plans. That's all you need to do. Just collect them. Do whatever. And if you complete a couple weeklies, you'll get those Syndicate plans.
Right.
Here's a key pro tip, though. You will not get them. You cannot pick them up, and you will not get credit for getting your 40 if you are at the cap. And the cap is low. The cap is only 200. So if you could see here, I'm at the cap of 200 of 200. My weekly progress is still 40 of 200 because at the beginning of the week, I went and made sure I went down to 160 so that I could get 40 and I could complete that weekly. Where do you turn these in, and what else are they used for? There is the vendor on the promenade of Nar Shaddaa, behind the hut at the lower level. There's the Syndicate trader. Go talk to that trader. It's a little bit janky, the conversation you have to turn these in. But you talk to that trader, you go through the initial story part of the conversation, then you can talk to them again, and you can turn in Syndicate plans. When you turn in Syndicate plans, you will get the rep tokens. And if you can see here, I've got rep tokens in my inventory that I have not clicked on because I don't want to click on them every week. I want to stretch this out. That's what we were talking about, sort of you doing the rep. Every other week, you might have an objective to turn in enough of these to get 1,000 rep, as an example. So I'm holding them and only turning in enough, like one purple and one blue. That'll get me about 1,100 rep, and I complete the objective, and I hold the rest of them. When you go to that vendor, if you're having trouble turning them in, make sure you turn them in, then say, I'm done talking about turning them in for now, and then go out. So you go out of that conversation to the main screen that then says, thank you, I'm done talking for now. Do not hit escape, because you thought you clicked on turning it in for a purple one and you're done. So you hit escape out of like a vendor window. That's not how it works. The conversation, you need to complete the conversation, or you don't end up with any in your inventory, and you're still at the cap, and you wonder what happened. How are you doing on rep on your syndicate plans and reps? Are you stretching it out also?
Yeah, I'm stretching it out definitely, but instead of going down to 160, I just went down to like, as far as I had the patience for clicking at that moment, because there's no downside to taking it all the way down to 0.
Right.
And there's a lot. The reason I say it's a lot of clicking is because I was taking the smallest possible choice.
And that's what Zen's saying in the chat room now, taking a bunch of green ones. I may switch to doing that. The reason I was sitting there at 160 is the one downside I saw to turning them all in is they are bound. So they'll only be on that character then. And I didn't know if I would want to spread them around just yet. I probably don't need to or want to. I probably should just keep them on one character so they don't get lost and end up in a bunch of different places. So,
but even if they do get lost,
yeah,
do we care that much? Because
I don't know. The only downside would be if they do get lost or you don't turn them all in. Is that vendor going to go away, and can we not get any after? So at the end date, can you never complete this rep and never get to legendary on the rep if you haven't picked up all of the tokens and clicked on them at some point in your life? I wouldn't want to hamstring myself by not collecting them and clicking on them at some point, even if it's 5 years from now, to click on them.
So that's a good argument for spending all of them. Spend it all the way down to 0.
Right, because right now I've probably wasted some this week because I'm at the cap, and I have been at the cap now for a day. So I should go clear them out. I will do that.
Yeah,
good plan.
But in the long run,
Good
I don't
tip.
think it's not gonna worry too much. I mean, it's not gonna hurt you too much to be maxed out for a little bit either, because while what you described may happen in the future, it's not gonna happen in the next 20 weeks.
Right. So I'll be able to collect enough to get myself to legendary, even if I don't click on them all in the near term. And getting them all in a big stack on my bounty hunter is probably better, because then I can always log into my bounty hunter and click on them there and never have to wonder where else in my legacy those ended up.
Yes.
Which is really good. We already talked about group versus solo. There are some group objectives. There's some solo objectives. There's group content that you can queue into. Go ahead as you look and plan out your week of which of the weeklies you're going to go after. Which do you prefer? Do you want to do some stuff that's solo? Do you want to do some stuff that's group? World bosses are a fun one. They show up from time to time, even as a Galactic season objective. World bosses are great in general, and we're doing a lot of world bosses on our Tuesday nights, and even for our ops team, our main ops team tonight, we killed 4 world bosses because that was 36 aquatic resource matrix. You need those ARMs, those aquatic resource matrix, for a lot of your upgrades around a lot of the gear paths, and killing 4 bosses for the Galactic priorities weekly gets you 20, and then each of the world bosses drops 4. So there's 36 right there.
And if you're on, like I've noticed it on the fleet, I think, and on Narshada, people advertising that they're putting together things for a world boss farm, which I don't know exactly what they're doing, but they're at least killing 4 world bosses.
Yep.
So, and it reminds me of Feast of Prosperity, because you get in a group of bunch of 24 people that are going to kill a world boss. You do some emotes and meet some people you never talked to before, and it can be a fun time.
I have not found any world boss except the one that was broken on Belsavis that has not been respawning quickly lately, which is great.
Yeah, that's true.
So we've been able to basically, when we were, say, on Tuesday night, we killed Snowblind, and then we just ran around and killed pirates for a little bit to try to complete the, kill 75 mobs on a planet for the conquest objective. Circle back around, Snowblind is back up. We kill Snowblind again, and now we're 2 up for the weekly. So that's a great way
Yeah.
to go about that. Couple other extras I wanted to throw out there. A couple crazy people. And in fact, I think I saw a post about this on Reddit today. And I know we have a couple of people in our guild that are doing this. They're doing Galactic seasons on every server. And I think you could do it on 5 total. The reason they're doing that is because if you complete Galactic seasons on a server, you get 4,000 cartel coins if you're a subscriber. So those cartel coins and completing a Galactic season is a legacy objective. And you have different legacy on each of the regional servers. So going to a different server and completing Galactic season there will get you another 4,000 cartel coins. So you can get a total of 20,000 cartel coins if you go do Galactic seasons on every single regional server. I don't recommend that. I would rather pay money for cartel coins than to have to do Galactic seasons 5 times. But that's just me. And it's a fun, if you got spare time and you want to do it, or at least get some of them, there's free cartel coins out there to get.
I mean, we were saying earlier that when we finish the season of Galactic seasons, we may miss it. You could always go start a new character.
Right. Go do it on another server, and maybe you've got characters there. Also to remember, there's 2 of the objectives, usually the daily and 1 weekly, that's getting 200,000 conquest points across your legacy. Those ones, remember, you do want to have your conquest bonuses active. And the way that works these days, look it up if you need to a refresher. Strongholds, be a subscriber and having enough stronghold rooms unlocked to get a total of an extra 150% bonus. So that's a bunch of rooms unlocked across a number of strongholds. There's tons of strongholds in the games these days. You can pay credits for most of them and get them unlocked that way. But getting that bonus will get you to the 200K faster as one example. And that also helps for conquest and helps for other things, which gets you a lot of credits and other rewards throughout the game. Subscribers obviously get more points per objective, and they get more points for conquest, and they get more rewards in the rewards track. So that's kind of worth it and worthwhile. If you're really trying to optimize, the subscribers do get a pretty big boost. You can see that clearly in the reward tracks themselves of what rewards you're getting. There's the free track and the subscriber track. And the cartel coins, a lot of those are coming in that subscriber track. So there's that. And then I had one of my personal tips and tricks, which was, although it's been broken, it's come up twice already, it's a little bit broken, is to get 25 medals in Galactic Starfighter. I still have done it, and I've completed it both times. The medals that it suggests you need to go and get, Jackie had an update post in the dev tracker. You can go and look it up. Although even what she put in there as what medals you should be able to get, some of those don't exist. There's no way to get a medal for whatever. I think she had like 35,000 damage. There is no 35,000 damage medal, so that's not going to get you anything. But it's defense. I think 2 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes or 4, 6, and 8 minutes on defense. 8 is hard to get because the match needs to last for 8 minutes, which they don't always do. That is medals that you can get, and then damage are medals that you can get. My pro tip here is learn to fly a strike fighter, and if it's a death match, then just go and do a whole bunch of damage and kill people with your strike fighter, because that's probably one of the best ships, often one of the best ships. Maybe a gunship also works relatively well in deathmatch. But then in the domination defense, go and take your strike fighter, sit on a satellite that's active, maybe the one in the center of the map, hopefully that your team owns. So you're both getting defense minutes and you're doing a whole bunch of damage, because strike fighters can do a significant amount of damage. So if you get used to flying the strike fighter, you can do a fair amount of damage. You can get the damage medals and the defense medals. Do not, like I was flying my bomber in a couple of the matches, and maybe it was a match that wasn't going very well, and I did a little bit of damage, but not enough to get one of the bigger damage medals, which is the one that counted for the week. So I came out of matches getting 7 medals and only one of them counting for the Galactic Seasons Weekly.
Yikes.
And that was getting a little frustrating to me.
Yeah.
So here's my tip. If it still continues to be broken the next time it comes up, 7.0.1 on Tuesday will hopefully fix this a little bit. We'll see. Gunship. So Zen in the chat room says gunships can do a lot of damage as well, but you won't get the defense because typically you're not sitting on the satellites to get defense. What you do with the ion cannon on a gunship is you sit off of an enemy satellite that they have locked down, especially one that there's bombers on that are dropping a lot of their little mines and their repair drones, and you've got the defense turrets on the satellite. Just shoot the bombers as they're circling around. Shoot the satellites, shoot the mines, and shoot the drones, and shoot everything. So Zen said he's gotten 140K with a gunship because the ion cannon has a little bit of spread. It's a little bit of AoE when it's upgraded. So look for those upgrades, optimize it, and you can just be blasting the heck. And you don't even need to kill anything. You don't even need to kill a single bomber. In fact, it's better if you don't kill them because then you just keep racking up the damage because they sit there and they repair themselves and they keep flying around and around and around, and you just keep just wailing on them and doing a whole bunch of damage. So in fact, it's worse because if you kill them, then they'll go get a strike fighter and they'll come and shoot you out of the air. So you want like 2 or 3 bombers circling around, dropping a whole bunch of drones that you just keep wasting out of the air. That's fun. In fact, Zen was doing that to me the other day. The 2 days ago in the morning, I was in there and I had a bomber parked under a satellite and I was just defending the satellite. I was trying to do a little coffee and contemplation. And when I do that, I'll play a bomber and I'll just park under a satellite. And Zen was the one sitting off. Zen-esque is the character that he was on at the time, just pinging away. And it wasn't killing me until like another of the teammates come over. But I just sat there for a while and it just kept blowing up all of my drones and my repair drone and blowing up all the satellites and just farming me for damage. So thank you, Zen. Thank you, Zen.
Pro tip. Farm max.
Yep. How about you, Seema? Any other pro tips you want to throw out there?
So this is not a pro tip, but I just want to add, you were talking about not all the medals counting. So I've been sort of working my way through this Syndicate Galactic Season things, and I found on Nar Shaddaa that almost none of the mobs counted. And then I moved to Tatooine, and I found that many of the mobs counted, but some of them didn't increment the counter. So I think there's maybe some behind the scenes work that still needs to be done. I think it's what I'm trying to say is maybe it's not GSF, maybe it's like getting credit in general for kills.
Yeah. I think
like at first I thought maybe I'm not killing the right mobs because you heard me say that, but now I think I was because I like on Nar Shaddaa, I would kill exchange mobs and get nothing, and another pull and another pull and another pull, and then I would do another pull and get like credit for 1. And then I thought maybe it's only strongs, and so I did only strongs for a while, still no credit, and then I would then I would get credit on 1.
It definitely could be. There's been various small bugs. The GSF ones in particular were called out separately in the known issues in the dev tracker and had a couple posts about it. But especially because this is a new objective in Galactic Seasons that came up this week and the first time they're running it, there could be some of those mobs that just aren't tagged correctly on the various planets. And yes, if things aren't counting, that does get a little frustrated. I hope they fix all of this stuff.
Right. And then I came to Tatooine, and when I got to the right area where there were more exchange mobs, they were mostly all counting, but still not one for one. So maybe that's working as intended, and we just haven't figured it out yet. But just saying.
Yeah. Keep an eye out. 7.0.1 on Tuesday may fix some of this stuff. And the objectives will again change next week. In fact, I've got a spreadsheet here, and a couple people have guides out that would show up to the next 2 weeks. I don't know why they don't go beyond that for everybody, but this was up on Volk and MMO Bits. Zamzam had this, and a couple other people had this. But next week, it looks like we have a couple coming up that will be GSI. You could do the GSI missions. Yeah. Oh, we get to do the champion droids and guards again next week. So that is coming back. There was another good one I thought next week. Oh, this was interesting. So next week, there's an objective to defeat enemies across the galaxy with Fenzeal, who's Chad Bane, as your active companion. So this will be the first time you'll be incentive to make sure that you pull out Chad Bane, which I don't even have. I don't hit claim on the Galactic season rewards until I'm sort of forced to, because it just takes up storage. So I haven't even redeemed Chad Bane yet. I will probably pull him out and do some fighting with him next week. A little bit of crafting is coming back next week too.
I not only redeemed him and pulled him out, but I leveled him to 50, and I run around with him now.
Sweet. And there's a couple different kinds of achievements for leveling him to 50, both through the season and without, by doing a compendium companion. I think there's a separate hidden objective.
Yes, that's why I did it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 2 weeks from now, there will be turning in Syndicate Plans for rep. There will be a little more crafting of the prefabs. The prefabs one that we saw. Flashpoints again. And then a couple of the kill the droids, kill the warbot on Quesh, or the battle droid on Nar Shaddaa for the cartel warbots. Cool.
Yes.
I think with that, we are ready to wrap it up, and Seema and I can get back to seasoning our galaxy, as the case may be. So with that, we will take EPC 418, kick it out an airlock to broadcast this episode to all of you out there. To keep from missing out, subscribe on New Overlords, to 2 New Overlords on YouTube and iTunes. So there's going to be more coming to New Overlords over the course of the next month or two. Subscribing on YouTube is a great place to make sure that you don't miss out and you see what's going to be coming up next, because that's going to be interesting. Watching newoverlords.com will be the other way to do that. And finally, you can also make sure that you follow me on Twitter at MaxTheGray. And there will be a new Overlords Twitter handle pretty soon that I'll put out here as well and let you all know about, to see what some of that new stuff is that's coming. For Alea Iacta S, our guild on the Starforge server, and to join in with our Winter Con coming up this weekend, you can find us and find more information at aie-guild.org. The Discord link is in the upper right corner. You can get in our Discord, and there's a whole section in there right now for the WinterCon. There's cute little icons next to it that show the information desk, the guild hall, con picks, the podcasts and panels, casual games, board games. There's a channel and a section all for the con. That'll be live all weekend. There'll be a bunch of streams that'll be posted to there as well. Get in there. You can ask for a guild invite, or you can just be in there casually for the con. You can come in, check us out, see what we're all about, have fun. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, all you excellent people.